One of my best friends in elementary school was a guy named Danny. And one summer we were spending an extra amount of time together. We frequently schemed, about how we could convince our parents to let us have a sleepover. And so one day I decided to ask my parents, and they were good with it. His parents were good with it. So we got our desires, and so that should have been good, right? Well, of course, that wasn't enough. So we began to scheme about how we could do another sleepover that same night, make it 2 nights in a row. Well, this time his parents said we could come over. So we had our sleepover, and certainly that would have been enough, right? Well, no, we asked our parents, so we got 4 nights in a row. And what I actually, in hindsight, have realized for this kind of bigger theme of life, no matter how many sleepovers I would have got as an elementary school kid, it never would have been enough. If my parents would have said no to a 5th night, I would have thought they were the worst parents and completely unfair. Now, I think it's perfectly natural, perfectly normal for us kids to want to have unlimited sleepovers. But I do believe this theme of something good never being quite enough is a prominent theme that can absolutely stay with us into adulthood. And so today we're gonna look at a miracle Jesus did, only then to discover that it really wasn't quite enough. So we're in Matthew 15, 34 through 38. "How many loaves do you have?" Jesus asked. 7, they replied, "and a few small fish." He told the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish, and when he had given thanks, he broke them and gave them to the disciples, and they in turn to the people. They all ate and were satisfied. Afterward, the disciples picked up the 7 basketfuls of broken pieces that were left over. The number of those who ate were 4,000, besides women and children. Now, this is a very well-known miracle of Jesus, when he feeds thousands of people with 7 loaves and a few small fish. So let's briefly notice, if we went back up to verse 32, okay, Jesus has compassion on the people because they were hungry. They've been with him 3 days, and he knows this might cause them to collapse. Now, in verse 37, we read that everyone was satisfied. Well, satisfied for the moment. Immediately following this passage in chapter 16, the very next verse, Jesus is asked to give a sign. He just fed 4,000 people. Isn't that a pretty good sign? After this, the disciples reason amongst themselves that Jesus is upset with them because they didn't bring any bread on the boat. And Jesus has to tell them, don't you remember the loaves? How he took care of everything, how he fed all those people, right? In another place, he's talking about going to the cross, and his disciples start arguing with Jesus about who can have the 1 and 2 seats in his cabinet when his kingdom comes. When he offers a Samaritan woman living water, she wants the type of regular water where she will never have to bring her jug back to the well again. The reality is this: unless the things Jesus does leads to satisfaction in him, our satisfaction will always be wanting. We are often people who go through life looking to fill the various holes in our hearts with the physical bread of life rather than the actual bread of life. The things Jesus offers are great and necessary, and he does them out of compassion, and they can absolutely meet an important temporary need. But if we just think the things of Jesus can be an end-all be-all, we will have an insatiable appetite that will never quite be quenched. And so I just want to leave you with this question. Are the things of Jesus leading you to find contentment in Jesus, or are they leading you to find contentment in merely the things of Jesus?